Alright, Van Wolvertine running MS-DOS version 6.22, Chapter 11 of the MS-DOS shell. Overview. Version 4.36 of the MS-DOS includes the program called the MS-DOS shell that lets you use menus, small screen images, to manage your file with a disk with the MS-DOS command file with the name of the system prompt which cell. You can see your directory structure outline screen. You may have to navigate one directory to another keyboard or mouse. Also set up your application programs so you can run them and by selecting them from a list. If you have the shell version 5, later MS-DOS, you can even switch among multiple programs without having to quit one before starting another. Program is called the shell because of the surrounding with the MS-DOS. When you use it, see the shell with the menus rather than MS-DOS and the system prompt. Shell even add some of the capability of the older version of MS-DOS don't offer. For example, you can rename a directory, move with one or more file without having to copy the arrays, then view the content of the two disks directory at the same time. Chapter gives you a quick tour of the shell. Version 5 or later shows you how to use the shell's major capabilities, either keyboard or mouse. So you have the version 4 MS-DOS with the shell with very similar. Visually similar with but differs in some significant respects. Use this chapter general guidelines shell, but refer to the documentation outline help your shell for specifically if you have version 6.2 later MS-DOS and would like to use the shell, you can order supplemental disks. See the menu that came with MS-DOS. Starting the shell, MS-DOS shell. MS-DOS can be installed with the run of the shell whenever you restart the computer. So that's what waits until you give it the run. So that is it waits until you give it the command to run the shell. MS-DOS runs the shell automatically. Shell appears as soon as the MS-DOS finishes the startup routine. If MS-DOS does not run the shell automatically, you can see the normal MS-DOS startup ending with a system prompt. In this case, you start the shell by typing the name C drive shell. Make sure the Microsoft Windows is not running before each of the start of the shell. When you start the shell program, begins the reading of the name of each of the directory from the disk of the current drive. The disk contains many directories and files. Shell reports in progress box head with the reading disk information shell, then display for the opening screen, which looks at the illustration below. For simplicity, the illustration shows only files most likely to be a root directory on the hard disk. You may see others. Show the cell with the directory key, the C drive, and the main. If you're opening the shell that does not show the areas tab with the directory tree of the main, you can change with the display with the tree of the program list of the view with the menu of the top of the screen. If you don't know how to do this, refer to the illustration that goes regard the display of the view minutes. Shell operates either in text mode shown with the preceding illustration or in graphics mode with the text made. Use the text graphic, no picture created with the display you see with the graphics mode, which you can use EGA, VGA, similar display with combined text with some graphic images on the next page shows screen proceeding looks like graphic mode. The notice of the mouse pointer is arrow-headed shaped instead of the rectangular. Small images of the disk and drive in the full file folders replaced with square brackets used within text mode. Figure 1.1 shows the parts of MS-DOS show Windows version. Current directory, disk drive, toolbar, menu, file list area, program list area, status area, and then T whatever. The rest of the chapter will show the screen with the graphics mode. Would like to switch to the graphics mode with the press Alt key, press O, and then press the letter D. When box labeled screen display mode appear with the down arrow key until the dark highlight rests on the choice that begins with the word graphics. Press enter, and your screen will change to the graphics mode. Parts of shell window. The opening shell screen shows the large window containing a number of the different elements. The window also shows the two major parts of the shell. The first list with the top of the program list below it. From the top of the bottom, principal elements of the shell opening with the words Windows list is labeled. Top line of the screen, the title bar identified with the MS-DOS. Second line, menu bar displayed with the names of the available menus, file, options, view, tree, help. You choose command of these menus. The next two lines identify current drive and directory. Probably C drive is shown earlier on page 243. Show the disk drive attached to your system. Next, 1/3 or 1/2 of the window compromised file list are which is divided vertically into two smaller sections. Left-hand portion titled directory tree shows all of the directory for the current disk of the range of the subdirectories, and 10 with the right with the connected with the line showing the directory structure of the display of the is like the output of the tree command with the mouse sign on the inside with a symbol of representative of the directory. For example, the symbol to the left of the C drive means that the directory contains one or more subdirectories that are currently displayed with the directory tree plus sign inside of the symbol. Represents directory meaning that the directory contains one or more subdirectories that are not currently displayed. Right hand portion lists the file of the current drive of the current directory, C drive, and then illustration page 23, like the directory listing, entry list with the name side with the date with the creation list, and change to each side, file selected directory. Lower section of the shell window titled Main with the program list area with a display with a list of the programs you could run until you add your own programs to the window. Contains at least two basic choices, command prompt and disk utilities. Finally, the bottom line of the screen status line shows you the time of the day with the effect of the two short key with the F10 and Shift F9 produce the holding down either Shift key or pressing F9. F10 activates the menu in the menu bar. Shift F9, you temporarily leave the shell, work the MS-DOS system prompt, turn the MS-DOS shell from system prompt to exit, press enter. Alright, using the keyboard and the mouse. Before you begin with the explore with the shell, you will know how to get around with the mouse and with the keyboard. If you have the mouse, you already know that using one is easy, relatively standard with about a different application program shell, but the new very simple you would expect with the joint. Just roll the mouse with the desktop with the pointer where you want it to be on the screen. If you point with the item of the part of the window you want to, select it with the clicking left button, mouse button with the right button, and activate the shell. For certain tasks, with double-clicking the item, press the left button twice as a rapid succession and accession. Sometimes drag an item when you move the file from one directory to another. Position the mouse pointer with the described file name, then pressing, holding left button, moving the mouse pointer with a new location before recessing, releasing the button. When the keyboard, use the tab key with a move from one area of the shelf to another. For the example, to move the list of the drive of the directory key, then list one of the file of the current directory, reverse direction, Shift tab. Figure 11.2, the next page describes the basic techniques you can perform in the most common shell operation, keyboard or mouse, and then it gives a select menu, Alt 10, select menu, and then if your keyboard user with the unfamiliar with the menu base, be concerned techniques don't have to be meaning so yet, as you will with the both mouse and the keyboard hand example to help you along the necessary. For sake of the standardization chapter uses assume the computer of the hard disk drive C. At least one subdirectory of C dots. If your system defers example that's still appropriate, might not work exactly as described. Alright, help is a keystroke away. Shell includes on-screen help with information guide. You for the most of each of the request for the general information, direct help with the specific situation, general help with the good way with the finding out with the shell with how it works, which keys you for the procedures available, the so forth. The direct help provides details whatever you task you're working on, the time of the request for the help, the request general help, you for the help menu, top of the screen. Request direct help, you choose the item of the command with the want, with the press F1 with the both drive with the helping and following example. Start with the general help, choose the help menu using one of the methods described. Start with the keyboard Alt or F10 to activate the menus, then pressing H. The menu, the mouse will click on the help menus. Show unlisted choice index highlighted, press enter for the shell displays window added with the MS-DOS shell help. Top line of the help window contained with the title of the screen. The main part of the help window tells the MS-DOS shell help, the index. Describe what you can do next. The bottom line with the help window, no matter help information displayed, offers 5 choices. Close end help, remove the help window, returns you to whenever you were doing. Back returns you to previous help display. If you move from one topic to another in the help, keys displays a list of topics related with using the keyboard with a shell. Index display with the help index you're looking for. Help displays the help on the help. Right now, notice the box label the MSD shell help. The help index starts with a few lines, but it tells you how to choose the index top of the immediately below with the keyboard help with the file with a group of topics. Begin with the general MS-DOS shell keys, the inbreaks of the help information banded broad categories related topics groups under them. See what help is available. The page down key with a few items, few times stopping when you do so with the MS-DOS shell basic help with the topic Windows MS-DOS shell. Now try requesting some help using one of the two methods below. Or the keyboard tab key with the many times necessary to move the highlight small area with the left edge of the window. The welcome the MS-DOS shell. Press enter. With the mouse, double click with the window. Welcome MS-DOS shell. Total the top of the tab window chain with the MS-DOS shell. With the old display, quickly replay with the description of shell with the page down several times. End with the description you see with the word next topic. Followed by scroll bars, press the tab key, select with the new topic, press enter with the double click with the mouse. Window changes again. This time, one tells you how to use the scroll bar with the shell with the displays along the right edge of the certain windows. Sending move deeper for the helper for the now move trying to move back where you came. Choose the button marked back at the bottom of the window. Press the tab key until the mouse pointer to the back. Press enter. Click on the back mouse with the mouse to help display chain of the previous screens. Use information MS/shell. Choose back. Again, you see the original index. If you want to experiment with the help topics with the other buttons for the bottom of the window you already stopped, press escape with the close button with the tabulating and enter everything clicking between the mouse button. Before leaving the subject to help entirely, the request direct help, first choose the file menu, Alt F, then click on the file with notice that the open command is highlighted to ask your help what the command does. Press F1 key, help window appears. This tells you not only about F filing open command, also refers you to the additional information needed. Press escape to close the help window. If you plan to use the shell frequently, consider browsing through help as you just did. It is a good way to learn to use the shell. Remember F1 also need the request to help particular task. Alright, the file list. If you use the keyboard set operate shell, you use the tab key to activate the screen you want to work in. You use the mouse clicking an area enough to activate the portion of the window. The current drive, probably C drive, should be highlighted. To prepare for the next example, the directory tree, pressing the tab key. By clicking the mouse anywhere in the area with the highlight with the root directory, use the down arrow of the mouse highlight with a different directory. If you use the shell with a monochrome display, you see only two colors, one dark, one light. You can make sure that the screen closely matches the shading of the illustration and chapter choosing. By changing four-color monochrome, delete with the press Alt key, press Enter, letter O twice. The box labeled the color scheme appears. Press down arrow key till the dark highlight is on the monochrome. Four colors. Press Enter, and your screen will change the shades to light to dark. The file menu, shell menus are listed in choices. Although the menus look like the restaurant, they should be both. What items you can choose. Whether the shell asks you for more information when you make the choice. Select the file menu again. The screen should look like this. Notice that the menu, its items displayed in both lighted gray and dark characters. Shells you with the gray characters let you know the menu options you with the cover appropriate for what you're doing at a time. Right now, file menu tells you can open a file with the work with the runner program. Search for the file with the delete. Careful to remain. Rename current directory, create a directory, exit shell, select one or more files that are only active for the perform of the file menu. You can print with an example because you haven't selected a file to print. The ellipsis following with certain choices such as run means the shell needs a little bit more information before you can carry out the command. You see the ellipsis following the command. You can expect the shell to prompt you more information before it carries out the command. You see how the work is a bit later. Keys and combinations such as F8 and Alt F4 along the right edge of the menu represent short keys that you can press instead of use the menu to choose the key commands to carry out. Press escape to close file menu. Selecting a directory tree. Directory tree outlines the directory structure for the disk current drive. If it's not already highlighted, select your DOS drive directory. Faster the way to move through the list, but not as an arrow key. The DOS name of the MS-DOS directory highlighted. Click on the DOS page down necessary to bring the directory into the view. The area to the right shows the MS-DOS. If you don't have a hard disk, substitute with the root directory with the sharp disk DOS directory unless the instruction tells you otherwise. Select the files area to the right of the directory tree, pressing tab key, clicking anywhere on the portion of the screen. Scrolling through the directories list of files with the DOS is probably too long to fit on the screen, so see if it is you need with the scroll with the directory on the keyboard and the scrolling through it's any other long list of the file directories in several ways. By pressing down or up arrow key to move the line at a time, press page down, page up to move the screen at a time, press letter key to move directly to the first entry of the begins with the letter, press beginning home key to move the first entry, press end key to move the last entry. If you're using a mouse shell, it should include a mechanism making scrolling even easier. Scroll bar, which you saw help earlier. The scroll bar is vertical bar with the right margin. Each of the window arrow at the top of the bottom contains a shaded box. Clicking on the arrow moves the list of one direction at a row. Clicking the blank part of the scroll bar moves the screen, dragging the shaded box to a position between the top and the bottom of the same relative distance list. Try scrolling a list. You want the techniques described listed above. The view of the difference of the DOS directory. Selecting files. In order to work with the file, the MS-DOS shell requires the indicate with a file with effect with a particular command with the MS-DOS command prompt with the file name with or without wildcards to specify with the files with shells you mark with the name of the files you want affected. With a mouse file selected, as soon as the point on, click the left button with a keyboard to grab the tab. You tab list the name with the arrow key to highlight the file with the name you want. In graphics mode, symbol left down the file name highlighted as soon as you select the of the file and text arrow and the triangle appear before the file name. Next file orientated will affect with a particular line. With the file selected, open the file menu. Notice that all the choices except for the create directory for the now available to cover the other commands on the menu can be applied with a selected file with the exit closed menu. Or you can select more than one file at a time, copying perhaps or moving to another. Select area with a file with the keyboard, move highlight with the name of the first file with the press hold with the shift key, extend with the selection of the arrow keys. Select areas of file with the mouse, click on the first name, press and hold shift key, click on the last file with the group that you want to select. To use the keyboard, select file with the arrow throughout the list, press and release shift and F8 key. Then what do you do? When you do this, the word add appears near the right edge of the tab at the bottom of the screen, and the arrow keys highlight with the file names. Press the spacebar to each of the file you want. To switch the back to normal, selecting press Shift 8 again. Shift F8 again. To use the mouse, select the file scattered throughout the list. Hold down the Control key instead of the Shift key as you click on each of the file name you want. If you practice selecting groups of files with a reduced selection with the one file, choose the deselect of the file, deselect from all file with Alt, and then F and then L to click on the file, and then on the deselect of the all. New text topics show you some of the file menu items you can explore with the rest. Most of the items self-explanatory. Few might not be so obvious. Associated with example, Hill shall run an application program. Choose the file, particular with extension, and you might associate your word processing program. For example, the files whose extension doc is not need explanation. You don't find here. Remember, the help is always available. Copying of files you have with the shell prompts you with additional information. Move to the file areas. Highlight readme text, any other text file from the DOS directory. Now press F8 and select copy the file menu. You should see a screen of the graphics you see at the top of the next page. Shell displays a box called copy the file with the middle screen of the box is called the dialog box. Shell you ask the additional information needed in order to carry out the menu command. As you can see, the shell makes assumptions here for the example from the field already with the readme text of the file selected to copy. Because you include the drive letter path name of the copy file with the shell drive here to suggest the current drive with the placing cursor at the end of the highlighting the guess. After the drive path, you would pass with the right arrow of the end of the key starting typing, replace with the suggested drive in the path. You would simply start with the typing the characters use it to type without would replace with the shell display. You're going to copy the readme text name of the readme new, the current directory of the readme new, press into the dialog box, disappear with the readme new is added to the list of files. Also, I had to type the command copy readme text readme new as a system prompt. Moving file with the movement move command word works just like copying file with shell delete the original file. After making a new copy, you have to use the shell readme new from the current directory DOS root directory. For example, the result would be the same as if you had typed MS-DOS version 6 remove readme new backslash an earlier version MS-DOS copy me readme new backslash and then delete readme new. If you're using the mouse, you can move the file easily, selecting it and holding it down with the left button, dragging the file with a new different directory. What you do with the shell asks you if you're so sure you want to move the file. If you are, click yes and press enter. The file is moved. Need not to copy and delete, but no need to even move. Choose move command on the file menu. Viewing a file is a quick way to see when it is and change the file. You can only look at in the Dell shell ini text created. Or when you install MS-DOS version 4, 5, and 6, among these things, file tells you shell about your system, what it should look like. When it starts DOS shell installation from the list of files, select the view file contents. File menu should look like this. Top line identifies the DOS shell installation. Next line with the menus available to display view help. The third line tells you the key for the press to scroll through the file. If you're using the mouse, you can also scroll with the clicking page up and page down arrow keys on the third line of the screen. Main part of the screen show the part DOS installation. Shell can display in either two modes, ASC, II, or hexadecimal. Seen now with the file with the ASC 2 copy II file that may be covered with the translated readme text characters. According to American Standard Code Information Interchange, or in hexadecimal format, characters of the translate with the mathematical language with a computer, specifically base 16 number system, often used by programmers to see hexadecimal view figure in F9. certain different. Each line of the hexadecimal view shows 16 characters for the first column of the number left margin and draft the hexadecimal. So, of course, beginning each of the line, starting with a 0. At the beginning of the line, each of the middle 4 column numbers, the hexadecimal representation, 4 characters, 2 digits per character, 16 columns right, show the American Standard Code information exchange characters corresponding with a hexadecimal digit in line. Press F9 with the display of the return of the American Standard Code information interchange. Press escape to return to the file list to display. Alright, deleting a file. Using the shell, you can delete one of the files, several files in the directory, any of the directory except the root / simple, selecting the files in the empty directory you want to delete, then press the delete and selecting delete with the file name. It becomes so easy. Change directory, select the file with the listing, using the shell to delete the files no longer need the snap paired trying to compare commands to the MS-DOS system prompt. Simply because shell makes it so quickly and easy to delete the file, however, it's a good idea to give yourself some protection, making sure the shell asks you to confirm each of the deletion shell. In fact, you can protect yourself not only with inadvertently deleting the file with the delete command, but also against inadvertently replacing a file copy with another space in its place. Protecting yourself to protect yourself with inadvertently deleting a file, select the option menu, then choose confirmation shell to display the dialog box shown. Brackets to the left, each of the options contain an X option, and the active selected the active option turns it off. Selecting an inactive option turns it on. Confirming on delete with it determines whether the shell prompts you for the confirmation for the delete, with the confirms on the replace of the protect with against the less of the obvious losing a file, but it determines whether the shell prompt with the confirmation before copying an overall existing file. Confirming on mouse operation, trim of the shell with the ones before carrying out with the mouse operation. Mouse move the copy of the file. 3 options should be on containing X between the brackets. If one is off, the tab to the press spacebar, turn it on. Then you finish the press enter the code with the dialog box. Now the delete file. Sometime ago you created a readme new, copy the readme text. You don't need readme now, so you select readme. You don't select readme text by mistake. Then press delete and choose delete with the file, and then shell the display with the dialog box delete file confirmation. This is how the shell gives you a second chance. The dialog show with the name of the file to be deleted at the bottom of the box. If the choose the yes or no cancel, the press the enter, the choose the yes, and shell deletes readme new, return the file list and display. You can delete the entire directory with the content with the 2 quick step with the shell, with the cover the shell review, with the delete with the directory containing the file, with the use select the directory tree. Select the detail all of the file, select all of the delete detail commands on the file menu with the once file with this again. You can use the delete again by the time of the remove of the directory itself. Because it's so easy, make sure you do indeed what you want. Erase both the directory, everything in it, and a few valuable files might be hidden in Welter, unnecessary ones. Whether or not you have some confirm a one, delete, you must delete all files directory before you can delete the directory. When you want to use the MS-DOS remove the directory command, likewise, you can delete any directory that contains subdirectories, nor can you delete the rename the root directory because each of the disk must contain this directory. Using option view menu, just should you the confirming with the command in the option menu, protect for the inadvertently deleting the copy over the file choice for the option with the view of the menu with the display file with the name particular order to display information about the selected file directory. Just display with the file with the 2 directories at once displays all of the files on selected disk displays only. The file list display with the program list file list at the same time as shells is doing now. Control the order which file the names appear with the first start of the shell of the file list. Display with the file names alphabetical order. You can change the order to display with the first range, the extension, date, size, even the order which they stored on disk. Display with the files arranged with the extension. Choose the file disk option. File display option with the option menu. Shell display with the file display option. Dialog box you can see at the top of the next page. In addition, specify the order which file will be displayed with the dialog box. Lets you tell the shell whether the display is hidden in system files, whether the display is either ascending A to Z or Z to A order. Change display hidden system with the ascending order with the keyboard. You can keep the option with spacebar with the mouse. Simply click anywhere on the option, either wherever the option is turned with the X appear with the brackets. The option is off. That should be now. The brackets are empty. Different ways you can sort files list with the right side with the dialog box. These options are mutually exclusive, but the one over them can be active at any time of the active choice. So they indicate with the dot inside a circle with the dot between the parentheses with the text mode. Trying to change an extension, press tab to move the list of the down arrow with the key once for the extension. Press enter with the click on the closed dialog box file with the windows appear with the listed alphabetical extension. The BAS files for command files such as so on rather than names as where they are for. Find files arranged alphabetically named, generally easy for the range and extensions of the file display options. Command A again and return the sort of name. Display file and directory disk information show information command options menu display information about the currently selected for the directory disk highlight readme text any other text file specific data with a different layout interpretation will be the same. Choose the show information command. The screen should look like this. There is nothing in the window you can type to select it. Simply show the following information file. Show the name and the attributes of the selected file. Selected show the layer selected drive with the number of the total size of all selected files. If you're displaying directory with the two disks, you show the both disks, letters of the number and total size of the selected both disks directory. Show the name of the directory with the container of the file, name of the file, number of the byte taken, number of the file, directory with the number of the file, the directory with the known size of the directory to be quite useful. Certain operations, copy the directory with the hard disk, floppy disk, show the name of the volume, label the capacity available to space with the number of file, with the number of directory of the disk containing the file. You can press escape or close to remove the show information from the window of the screen. Changing the view, the shell lets you display the file list, program list, or both as you're doing now. You choose what you want to see. The view menu, change the view, open the view menu. Your screen looks like the screen at the top of the next page. First choice single file list highlighted with the program file list is gray because they are shelved to display now. So you can choose, press enter for the selected highlight choice file to take up the entire window. Displaying two directories at once. Shell lets you display two directories on the same different drives. To see the choice of the dual file list for the view menu, shell divided with the middle portion of the screen horizontally with two areas, one above them or the other. Above the other, the areas identical. Each should include with the disk drive entries, icon of the disk drive, the name of the file of the selected directory. Example shown below: upper file with the area with the list of the name file with the DOS directory. C with the lower file name listed with the name of the file of the directory root. When you're viewing the dual file, you can select the files either in list of copying, deleting, moving. So you select the files more directory, displaying two directories, activating select across directories. On option menus, you can even view the directories to disk. For selecting different drives, the two areas, choose single file list. Command again to return display one directory. Finding that file. Alright, finding that file. The bigger the file, the more you can store. The good part, the more you store, the harder it can be in a particular file. Find a particular file. The bad part, eventually everyone who uses the computer will confront with the same frustration question: where did I save that file? If you use the shell MS-DOS version 5, the last question may be non-eligible, at least for the irritating first such for each of the directory shell with to do with the work with the search command with the file menu. Suppose the example of the root with the bid proposal last year. You think you save it as proposal doc, you must press sure. Proposal still on the hard disk somewhere with with this resurrect for the document change with a bid somewhere with a different bid. With one command you can tell the shell to go look for where you want it. You can choose. Search for the file menu. You can see what the dialog box for the next page. Note for the shell initial process search for the entire disk as a wildcard extension approach for the use situation, particular because of the shell report on what it finds with include the path of each file name. For example, the file with the interested particular in the file name and extension should be typed the proposal doc for the field late. We'll search for two find sets, and you could use the wildcard characters type of the example wildcard.doc to see the list of all the files of the disk with extension doc. Search for the entire disk, leave the X, and to note that there's search entire disk option. The limited search for the current directory subdirectory should turn off this option. Try with this command shell search for the entire disk, the undeleted execute. When you do enter this, click on the OK start with it. You may become still familiar a short time. Don't be concerned with the wrong. MS-DOS is working when you use check this similar command. When you search correct, complete the new Windows appears displaying with a list of all the files match the path and file in any of the file name and extension you press escape key to clear. Or displaying all files named on the disk, where the search command gives you the way to find one or more needles in the haystack. All files command with the view menu list for the whole file with every file with every subdirectory on the disk. There's all files command in the view menu. When you choose the all file command shell combined with the two types of displays, one over the right side screen with a list of the names all of the files of the disk should be the same with the directory information normally shown with the file list area with the left side of the screen provides same information. So when you choose the show the information command, inform the option menu of the combined display, but not only lets you see the directory information for each lit file, On the disk, I'll provide you with the directory name attributed with the directory side of the detail display with the show information command. As you select, different file names shall update for the information left side of the screen to tell you about the current selected file. Return to display with the directory key, choosing program file list of view menu. We're going to cut the tape there.